When it comes to favourite films, and if playing stranded on an island, I'll always try to claim the Lord of the Rings trilogy as one. Like many, I love Jackson's initial trilogy, although I cannot say the same for The Hobbit. Once learning that Jackson intended to milk that cash cow with not 2, but 3 installments, well, my expectations for the pending output plummeted. Yeah, the Hobbit trilogy proved a notable disappointment, and the third movie, The Battle of Five Armies, frankly sucked. In earnest, upon initial speculation for the development of a prequel series and what would become the Rings of Power, I was excited to see what they'd come up with. Never before had there been so much liberty afforded with a Middle-earth setting to explore newfound lands and kingdoms while drawing connections between the First, Second and Third Ages. When the campaign shifted into the horrific gaslighting of those critical, with a dependency on current politic, casting considerable shade on its projected fan base, things looked bleak. Then the word of mouth came, the ratios, the reviews, and more gaslighting. I then had no expectations, nor cared. Gave it a try later in the piece, and it led to the reviews of each episode. Granted, I wanted to improve upon my pitiful and non-existent editing skills, but the bar had sunk lower than I could have possibly imagined with Rings of Power, and so I have persisted. The bar had sunk so deep that anyone intent on limbo dancing would require a collegiate of chiropractors upon completion. With Season 2, I'm merely hopeful for improvement, that there will be a shift from the derivative writing where it guiltlessly pilfers dialogue from past superior works, where it adds to the Middle-earth world building, and that growth is achieved with the slate of characters where they undergo transformation and develop beyond their cardboard cutouts from Season 1. Am I really asking for that much? Episode 1 starts with a Roman rendition where orcs and our new Adar participate in the Ides of March. Like Caesar, this Sauron stand-in is then stabbed from all directions by the Horde. I assume this is Sauron, but as it isn't Charlie Vickers, I'll just refer to him as Bob.
So how can I help you, Bob?
We then have Bob turn into Muck.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Muck!
Not what I meant by transformation, and he faces off against Rattata. For Rattata, there will be no visit to the nearest Pokemon Center. Muck then consumes of a lady and is replaced with Charlie Vickers, with Halbrand, not Sauron.
And there was much rejoicing.
It then becomes clear this is a flashback, and we are reminded of that awful scene where Halbrand encounters Alicia in the middle of nowhere adrift at sea from Season 1. At least my favourite character so far resurfaces. That sea creature seems neat. We cut to Alicia, our namesake Galadriel, chasing young Ned Stark while looking confused. What else is new? Oh, and old Gilly is back. And he isn't happy with Alicia, insists she tell him who this Halbrand really is.
He is Sauron.
No way! Yes way!
She then has the gall to question young Ned Stark due to his friendship with Durin.
And what frailty blinded you? What other paths did your failure, Khazad-dûm, leave us with but this?
I'm not sure I can see her point. Is there one? At least she owned up to her own failing for Halbrand's deception progress, but then she does herself disservice, devolving into whataboutism arguments and castigating someone whom she called a friend.
Hey! Fat face! You stay classy.
They then debate the rings, Gilly requesting them.
Soon the last leaf will fall, and it will be my task to inform all Lindon our time has ended, and the elves must abandon these shores forever.
The time of the elves is over. My people are leaving these shores.
Young Ned Stark refuses, understandably. I wouldn't trust either of these two. They haven't exactly showcased any competence other than the swift execution of a snow troll. He then jumps, plummeting to his death.
Stand aside, worthy adversary. 'Tis but a scratch. A scratch?
In case there was any doubt, this is Mordor. No, it isn't Mount Ruapehu. Oh hey, Waldo, Waldreg is back. Wonder what shall become of him. Is it just me, or any malice, mysticism, majesty, all that made the Dark Lord interesting has now become, well, once again, and much like last season, we cut back and forth between one plot thread to the next. With not Gandalf, he now has his staff and some foresight. Oh, that skull mask looks intriguing. Perhaps a new and unique metal band on the horizon.
We're going around in circles. Just admit it, we're lost.
This looks strangely familiar.
Because we've been here before. We're going in circles.
Not Gandalf does his tree trick thing, since they are starving. Beetles! Well, that's not very vegan of you, Hollywood. Come on, Peter, sharpen your game. Beetles have rights too. With a captured Halbrand, Vickers, Sauron, he manipulates this product of a warg and chihuahua. In case you had any misconception of what the largest television budget can do 20 plus years later, and where it looks worse in almost every possible aspect, well, here you go. Have at it. Back at Linden, the Greyhavens, and in case you've the inability to think of where this might be, mind the show continues to jump around like someone suffering from ADHD, Cerridon the shipwright has finally arrived. Young Ned Stark, having survived the drop, unharmed, arrives with the Rings of Power. Gilly advises a rider to pass on the message to Celebrimbor to inform him that Halbrand is Sauron. Remarkable that Alicia had yet to tell them since the end of last season. Amnesia, stupidity, stubbornness, take your pick. But while the show can hold up plaques for name places, time continues to remain confusing. How much of it has passed since Sauron's reveal back with the prior season's finale?
Because of you, our enemy lives. I swear to you, High King, I will not stop until he's destroyed, and I have put this right. You'd not be here now if I thought otherwise.
I still can't help but ask why. Why did she not inform the others sooner? Just accept it and move on? This is frankly bollocks. Cornered, we have Alicia seeking to reason with young Ned Stark. I'm not sure how he's in the wrong. Am I quickly becoming a member of Team Young Ned Stark? But it seems the creators are desperate for us as the viewer to side with Alicia, to see it her way. Given the damage done in Season 1, well, good luck with that.
With 3, there is balance.
Alicia reasons, but young Ned Stark is having none of it.
What frightens you so you cannot consider the possibility of their corruption?
Blah, blah, blah. Alicia reasons,
I did what I felt was right, and time will reveal whether that was folly or wisdom.
I think you are wise, Mithrandir. Yet for all your subtleties, you have not wisdom.
What time do you think we have?
Young Ned Stark quips.
Time. What time do you think we have?
Can they not shy away from derivative dialogue for just one episode? While trusting oneself to reflect upon feelings and allow them to assist in decision-making,
It's your feelings, you know it to be true.
this should not then justify a lack of engagement with one's brain. But this is a consistent problem with this version's Galadriel. I'm still of the belief she might be an imposter, and I patiently await the reveal. It took them long enough with The Stranger and Halbrand. Why not? And this is also a notable issue with the writing. The creators seeking to double down on their stance that Alicia is right, that she will be somehow vindicated. Instead of Alicia showing any growth, apologetic for her actions, sharing her own self-doubt, having been manipulated by Sauron, she can only merely consider it a possibility she might be wrong. Incapable to showcase of any vulnerability. She just comes across as pig-headed and ultimately unrelatable. While this episode they try to recognise her trauma, some semblance of self-doubt, and perhaps this is simply down to bad acting, it all just comes across as insincere. I have seen this scene before, but where?
I can smell it. We're not alone.
Not Poppy!
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I had so hoped that the Samwise Gamgee gender swap was done with, but alas, the creators are not so merciful. Terrible rhyming then follows with a reminder of the plop that was the horrible Harfootian Irish jig. I struggle to find anything so far positive to say. This isn't just fan fiction, this is bad fan fiction, and they haven't learnt a thing since Season 1. It is such trite, ham-fisted and regurgitated dialogue. Waldreg then becomes Dog Tucker. If only we could be so lucky that this would be the end. But the desecration of Tolkien's work must continue. I must remind myself to recognise this as something else, just another show. But with my criteria set out at the beginning of this video, and if this first episode is to set a precedent, I don't think even modest expectations for better seem all that likely, and that bar was already so low to begin with.